All right. It looks like we are live. So welcome back. This series is going to be about creating a process or an app to summarize YouTube videos. Key reason why I'm doing this is that my wife runs a real estate company, and she needs to be able to stay up to date on things that are in that constantly evolving market. So, a lot of information's out there, but if I can create something that can summarize down a 30-minute YouTube video into a paragraph that she could read in 30 seconds, then she can make the decision if she wants to watch that video or if the summary was good enough. And so the goal here of this project is to take a YouTube video, be able to get the audio of the video itself, put that into a transcriber, which will convert that audio into text and then summarize the text. From a last session, we confirmed that we can do text summaries. We took the first page of A Tale of Two Cities and asked it to create a brief summary of that. And then I'll talk through a little bit on what each of these things are and then how we're going to use them. So the first thing here is the transformers. This is how we are converting the text to be summarized. Transformers is a package from Hugging Face, has a lot of different models available for you to run locally. You don't need to connect to any LLM like ChatGPT or Claude or anything like that. You can just access that directly. Then the LangChain text splitter here allows us to split large pieces of text into pieces with a little bit of overlap, so that way we're not missing out on any key points of information that we would have lost, because it just kind of arbitrarily cuts it based on the size of your model. The model that I'm doing here has a 1,000 token limit, which means about 1,000 words that it can take in at each chunk. So A Tale of Two Cities, that first page was already, it was like 1,500 words. So I needed to split it into two parts to actually be able to get the whole summary of that. So that's what LangChain text splitter does. And then this is the token encoder. What we're going to use today is the Python YouTube downloader, which allows us to access YouTube audio files via the API. All you need is the URL of the video, and then OpenAI's Whisper model here, which then takes audio and transcribes it into text. With that underway, this is the process that we used to create text summaries. This text here was that first page of A Tale of Two Cities. What we're doing is we're using Facebook's BART large model. It's about 3 million words in its corpus. Makes it pretty easy to cover the entirety of the English language. And then I'm saying to cut it off at about 1,000 words. That there, the full limit for the model here in the tokenizer is 1,024. So we have to cut it off there. And then this truncation says to anything after that 1,024, get rid of it. How we get past that is by using the chunking process down here. I'm saying to give me only 1,000 tokens at a time with a 100 token overlap. So the first chunk will go from word 0 to word 1,000. Chunk 2 starts at 900, going back that 100 token in the chunk overlap, and then going 1,000 characters from, or 1,000 tokens from there. So that's how you get up to 1,900 words, and then it keeps repeating the process for each one. And you can see here, since I gave it about 1,500 words, we ended up with now 2 chunks from the process, and proving out that our chunking actually works and splits things into pieces. So now that we can summarize the text, we can get started on making the audio, or getting out the audio for a YouTube video. There is a function, or that YouTube downloader package allows you to set a variety of options, so that way you can use it. We are specifying to only give us the audio of the YouTube video. That's pretty important, because if you download too many videos via the API, if you're not logged in, it will tell you that you cannot access it. So a lot of times it will use the same credentials that are already here in your browser. So like I'm running this in a Jupyter Notebook, which is running inside of Chrome. It will use my Chrome profile to go and download that YouTube video. So the easiest way to do that at its most basic form is to just do you're calling the package, and then you are giving it -x, which tells it to extract only the audio, and then you are picking. The next thing you're doing is you're putting the YouTube URL. You do that, run it. It'll take a moment to go through, check and validate that it exists, then go through the process to actually do that download. So that is like the most basic version of it. There is a more complex version, which I'm just going to copy in the code that I had already generated for that. You can see here as it's going through the chunks. This will then, by default, put it in the working directory that you're in, and you can use some of the settings here to specify what those are. So I'm just going to bring this in, and I'll explain what's happening here. So the function is download YouTube audio. We're going to give it that same video URL that we had before. This is just importing the YouTube downloader in, allowing us to specify options. Here, the format, I'm saying that it should be the audio best. So the highest quality audio that we can get from the file, extracting it using a another package called FFmpeg. You can actually use this to download the whole video. It kind of speeds up the process, allows you to extract things at a higher quality. And then I'm saying to make this an Opus file. This variable here is the structure for how you would like the file to be named. So what I'm saying is, give me the title, then with a space, give me the ID, and then dot and the extension. So I'm specifying here that it will be Opus. That's just going to come down here, but this is so that everything is parameterized out. So then I go through, I do everything, but then here I'm returning the information. So that way I could use it to pass it to another thing later in the process. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write in, I'm just going to call this now audio file. So that way we can have the information stored. And then when we get to the next part where we're going to give it or generate a transcript, I'm going to tell it exactly where that audio file is on the computer for it to go out and do the extraction and then pull it back in. So I'm going to do this. Download YouTube audio. I'm then going to, where is my URL from before? Right here. The only thing here is you do want to make sure to put this in quotes. So that way it treats it as a string. Oh, I did not run this, so then I won't run that one. While that is running, I'm just going to go through here. Our next step then would be turn the transcript, or turn that audio into a transcript. So now that we have downloaded the video, we can use OpenAI's Whisper model to extract a text transcript. So believe it or not, this can be done quickly in a few lines of code because the model's already having it. So we're going to call this transcribe audio to text. We then need to give it the file location, which is saved in our audio file variable that we made before. We need to call the model here. This is the Whisper. And then we want to be able to make sure that from that transcription model, we can pull out the text summarization. So I need to tell it to do the transcribe. I need to tell it where the file is, which is going to be that file location variable that we had set before. Like a temperature 0 to make no without any randomness to what you're hearing. Tell me exactly what you're getting on the model. Also specify that the language is English. And then because I'm going to feed this into a model for consumption, I need to set the FPS 16 is so that it could run on a GPU if you had one. I do have GPU on my computer, but I'm not going to enable it for the purpose. It's not necessary. All it would do would have things run quicker in general. But for this, believe it or not, it won't take very long for the process to run. So now if I say, give me the video text, and I need to give it audio file from before. How's it described up here? It is OpenAI Whisper. At least I believe so. I don't even think I need this. Yeah. And then give me that video text back out. While that's running, it shouldn't take a moment or two. There were a few improvements that we can make. So from the text example, there were a few things that stood out. So because the chunk has an overlap, we were getting some repeat sentences. There were also incomplete sentences. And again, this is due to arbitrary cutoff. And the reason why we're okay with just removing these is because there is an overlap in them. So if I start with an incomplete sentence, then I can go ahead and just straight remove those. Does this work? Forget if it works. No, it doesn't. So there's actually a nice, convenient way to work through these as far as removing incomplete sentences. Python has a set object type, which we can use to pass it through. So let's see. Yeah, I mean, this is a 30-minute video. We've got a large transcript here, which is great. Using the temperature 0 will take a bit longer than if you were to set it to another value. So between 0 and 1 is 0 is as close to what you're hearing as possible. 1 is kind of take what you're hearing, but kind of give me some changes along the way. Just kind of randomly, spice it up a little bit. Don't give me the same thing every single time. But for the purpose of this, we want to make sure that we can extract the audio out of the video directly. The underlying video is going to change, so I want to make sure I can get as close to possible from those. So then we have this huge audio transcript, right? But then what we need to do is go back through the process here of generating these and then doing it. So now I'm going to do the generate chunks and then summarize, but instead of doing it on the text, we're going to do it on the video text. And this is the part that will take a little bit. For each section, it has to go through and generate a summary of each one. So I'm going to call this summarize video text. It's going to generate chunks and then summarize, and we're going to let that go for a little bit. So what I was saying here about these is we want to remove repeating sentences due to the overlap. And what we would do is ideally we would do this before we do the summarization. So that way we are removing work for it to do ahead of time. And by using the set object type, it will be able to do this pretty quick. It's basically just a giant regex to kind of clean things up. So the first step here is the repeating sentences. And I have that one here. It's going to do slow on this one. It's going to have everything running on my computer here. So the idea here is to remove duplicates. How we're going to do this is we are going to feed it text. Then we need to go through this a few different things. So the first thing is I need to split those chunks into individual sentences. So the easiest way to do that is I'm going to take that summary. I am then going to do sentences equals, and I'm going to use regex split. And basically, I am looking for any punctuation to split on. So got a whole bunch of basic things here for what I'm looking for. And then I'm going to remove, usually there's a trailing space at the end of the sentence. And I want to take that out of that summary. And I would want to return these sentences. Then I'm also going to need another function here. And what I want to do is I want to deduplicate those sentences. Right, I want to feed it a series of sentences. And remember about using the set here. So these are just going to be the sentences that I've seen. I'm going to append these to the set every single time. But then I'm also going to have a second one of the unique sentences. So that way, when I encounter a sentence for the first time, it's going to get appended into the sentences. It's going to get appended into the unique sentences. Then I'm going to then also add it to the scene, so that way we can check the next time through. It would hit that, and then it would skip basically right to adding those to the process. So let me here. Add that sentence to the scene. And then if it encounters the sentence again, don't do anything with it. We don't want to add that in there. Oh, there's one more thing I forgot. We need to combine all these chunks together when we get them. So basically a single line. This is the text chunk. And then the overall process is we want to get the combined chunks. We do that by calling the combined chunks text. Then I want the individual sentences. And I get that by splitting the sentences based off those combined chunks. And then I want to dedupe my sentences. So this is the deduped sentences by the time that this completes. And this will be dedupe. And at the end, I'm now going to return the deduped sentences. And the whole process will let me remove duplicates. So looks like the video text summarization finished. You can see here, this also generates incomplete sentences. But we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chunks. To go through. Which honestly isn't bad from a 30-minute video. You're talking now, you have like less than a page to read. Guess they're pretty quick overall. Let's see. So now, if I go to the video text, and now that I have that summarized text, was summarize video text. That's because I put sentences and sentences, and that would never finish. But you can see, because it's using basic lists, sets, and basic regex, it's almost instantaneous that this part runs and completes. So it's really nice for getting through things incredibly quickly. And very similarly, there's also a process to remove the duplicate sentences from there, or no, sorry, that was remove duplicates. To remove the incomplete sentences that we encounter along the way. And you can do this with some very basic logic here. So we're going to pass the text again. Sorry, it seems like the rain is intensifying again as we have Helene going to hit here in a few hours. So rain and winds have definitely picked up. I'm going to do basic logic here. So basically, I'm going to check to see if there is an upper right away in the sentence, or if the end character of the sentence is not one of a period, a exclamation, or a question mark. If that's the case, then that is not a sentence. So we would remove those. Also, just a very basic check. On the length of the sentence, we're splitting each one. So it needs to be at least 3 words for it to be a sentence. If that's the case, where it is less than that, then it is not a sentence. Otherwise, we're returning true. And it's very basic logic, but the idea here is that it will remove anything that is incomplete for a multitude of reasons. And that's just because it didn't detect where a thought ended. So we'll remove those. It does not start with an uppercase. Now this works generally for the model that should automatically put an uppercase. But if it's going through any chunking process, we saw up here, it doesn't always start with it because it's picking up part of a sentence that started previously. So that's why we have that logic. And again, this removing complete sentences is a wrapper because now I need to go through and I need to filter the incomplete sentences. And this is going to be just a very succinct list comprehension. So for sentence in sentences, if is complete sentences in that sentence, we want to do those, and then I want to return now that list of complete sentences. And then I need to combine those back into a long string. So it will give me a list of all those because of the list comprehension, but then I need to go back and rejoin those. So easiest way to do that, between every space, just join in the next sentence that it encounters. Do that all the way through. And so now the process is get the completed sentences equals filter. If I could spell, that'd be great. That's on text. And you cleaned up text. And that's combining the lists back into strings from complete sentences. And returning that cleaned text. I'll call this the clean text summary. And I'm going to remove incomplete sentences on this deduped summary text. Boom. Typo gets you every time. Now we got a much better overall summaries. So there you go. You have one big text paragraph to work through. And that's pretty good overall for what you would want to do. So this is like very, very basic. And now if you wanted to right, so now you have that summary, you want to save it somewhere. And the easiest way to do that, you're going to use Python to create the file. You're going to give it the location and then the text. So with that, you're going to open to that location. You're creating a file and you want to write into it. So then you simply write in the text. Now everything is together, and then we're just going to close out that file, and boom, you're good to go. So now I would just say write to file. I'm going to call this the video summary .txt. Sorry. And I want to take the clean text summary S2 there. One more thing I'm going to do, just going to say print file has been saved. Boom. So now if I go look for where this is running from, I'm running this from my local thing, and now I have video summary created here less than a minute ago. And good to go. So basically now this whole blob is written out to a text file. So in about 30 minutes, we got through a lot here. We got to download YouTube audio from a file. There are two ways to do this. If you just want to download an audio file individually, come here, use the Python YouTube downloader, give it the URL of the video that you want to do. It will save it in the format of the title and then the YouTube video ID in brackets here. And then by default, it will do an Opus or an MP3. This version here, though, is much more cleaned up and set up so that way we can run this over and over again. So a lot of the same settings are just specified here. We're trying to get the best audio in the Opus file type, and then returning the file location so that way we can feed it into the next part along the way, which is then taking that audio, doing the text transcript. When you combine this with the text summarizer that we had put together from last time, we had gone ahead and summarized the Tale of Two Cities by breaking it into chunks and then summarizing each piece of those chunks. We went ahead and did that here. It generated this is the transcript here for the video text. And then we went ahead and did the summarization on it. And then there were two things that had jumped out from the text summaries that we had gotten. One is that there are duplicate sentences when it overlaps, and there are incomplete sentences in the transcripts because of the chunking, where it starts partway through a sentence. And we can remove that because that part should have been caught in the previous group. And then we wrote it out to the computer. So we have about 6 steps here. Summarizing a text, putting together a chunking strategy so that you can deal with large text, downloading YouTube audios, using Whisper to generate a text transcript, then go ahead and improving the output by removing duplicate sentences and removing incomplete sentences, and then writing it to your computer. So those are 7 big steps. Across this session, the last one, that means in about an hour and 15 minutes of time, you can use this same code to do this from beginning to end yourself. Everything will be here in this notebook, which I'll share out in the comments of this video as well, so that way everyone has access to it. So what I'll do is I'll convert this to a Google Colab and then be able to share that out. So just do that. Should be here. So you can use this Colab notebook. All you need to do is save a copy of it for yourself, and that will let you make edits to it. And then the only thing you would need to change in that file would be the YouTube video URL, which I have a big bold section there that says paste the YouTube link here. Just change that YouTube URL and you'll be able to download it on your own. So that is it for today. I kind of hit all the big points that I wanted to get to in this section or session. Covered, what was it, like, said we're about 7 steps along the way of being able to write it to a text file. Next time when we come back, we'll work together. What we can do is we can specify certain topics that you would want to pull out of a video. This is helpful if you're looking at a channel that covers a large variety of topics, because the idea now is to go from specifying individual YouTube videos to being able to go out to somebody's channel that you like, get back their best performing videos, and say, only give me summaries of things with certain topics that I'm interested in. So for example, in my wife's case, she's interested in real estate. So you're going to have real estate, you're going to have personal finance, because you're going to need to be able to afford the house. And then things like efficiency or productivity, because with so many meetings with people throughout the day, you need to be really productive with your downtime, as you don't have very long between showings. So next time when we come back, we'll work on expanding this out. So we will then try and go through pulling together the YouTube data for our channel to try and get their best performing videos, as well as potentially removing the off-topic sentences that come out of a specific thing, specific video. So for those of you who stayed through the end, I appreciate you coming to join my streams. We now have a valid YouTube summarizer that is very bare bones. It covers the basics, but it's more than enough to get you started to saving some time. So instead of watching lengthy educational videos or on certain topics, you can just go ahead and use this and read about it quickly, so you don't have to be watching as much. So hopefully it saves you as much time as it took us to make it. I feel like after you've run this for a video or two, you should be already getting your time back. So thanks for coming. I will see you all next Monday, where we will be kicking off removing off-topic sentences and then trying to work with YouTube to scrape through our channel and get their best performing videos. All right. Thanks for coming. Have a great night, and stay safe out there.